Good afternoon to you and a very, very warm welcome. Thank you for finding the time to be with us this afternoon. I can promise you that the next 1 hour is going to be a very exciting, interesting, and enriching interaction. Yeah, first of all, your moderator for the day, Mr. Ravi Karam Chetty, Ajay Mahajan, Rupam, Virat Divanji, and a bit about myself. This is a brief background, and now I'll introduce InSales Pro to you. InSales Pro is the short for Institution of Sales Professionals. Our objective is to build, in fact, rebuild the price in the sales profession. Having said that, now I hand over to Ravi to take the proceedings forward over the next 35 odd minutes. Over to you, Ravi, and thank you all very much.
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for taking time out to join. Thanks very much, Dippy. Before we start off, I quickly will just summarize again what this webinar is. We call it Sales 2.0 and emerging paradigm with a specific focus on the BFSI sector. We basically have three primary themes that we talk about. One is, of course, how companies are reshaping their sales strategies. The second is really how digitally savvy sales organizations and the entire infrastructure is undergoing change. And third really is what type of teams are required to manage this environment. How they need to be resilient, they need to be adaptable, and a lot more. So with these themes, I really don't want to take any more time, but really want to straight away move on to our first panelist today. It's Ajay Mahajan.
Yes, thank you very much, Ravi. Now, what we think is in the BFSI domain, particularly, let's say, I come from corporate banking. For the last 30 years, I've been a banker. And in the last 45 days, I'm now working for a rating agency. So I'll try and bring up examples from both. So this is time for reorienting products and services. This is not about necessarily reinventing the wheel and look for anything specific in terms of new product development, but it's about getting to clients like in a corporate banking environment and asking them what help do they need from debt restructuring standpoint? What do they need from debt refinancing standpoint? How does the banker help them with reducing the cost of debt? And what effective strategies can be used to reduce cash flow risks of the future? Likewise, we believe that the market demand will shift to vanilla because you are discussing very basic financing needs and requirements of clients at this moment of time, be it working capital requirements or some term loan requirements to term out short-term financing that's coming up for repayment. So the attention has to be very deeply in helping clients out at a time like this, whether it is financing or its problems of liquidity or its problems of currency. A lot of them exposed to imports, fluctuations in ECBs, where dollar rupee has moved 10% upwards or maybe 8 to 10% upwards in the last 6 months. So there are concerns in exchange risk management, vendor management, working capital, and so on and so forth. So the idea is the banker needs to get close to clients and genuinely come across as an advisor through this period and not be necessarily driven by short-term sales objectives only to be able to make the next sale. Ultimately, this business is a B2B business, and it means you are banking businesses for long-term tenors of time. And it is important, therefore, that at this moment of time, when clients need you the most and they need the best advice from you on their debt restructuring, on their capital management, on their payables, receivables, on their currencies exposures, on their trade finance requirements, then bankers come out and spend time in understanding the client needs and moving further. This slide really, I want to focus on how do we protect and how do we expand our customer base through this period. At this moment of time, a client relationship protected is a client relationship earned or a client relationship added. So it's very important that advisors, relationship managers, senior managers in sales, in business leadership positions, stay customer focused, make sure that they are hand-holding clients and ensuring that all client needs to the best the organization can help are truly addressed. And this mantra, to my mind, will be very important. A satisfied, well-served customer through this difficult phase will be the best marketing ambassador for the salesperson and for the organization he represents in the future. In the same vein, The sales team should energize their efforts to bring back customers that they have lost. Now, in banks, I know that all the time clients you end up losing for the short term and sometimes for the long term, also driven by pricing. At this moment of time, when quality is so most centric, bank managements will also support only going after clients that are perceived to be highest quality. They have low leverage ratios. They have the ability to pay back debt on time. Now, with that, I just move to the last point, partnerships. It's very important that at a time when capital will be conserved by institutions, you don't necessarily go after new product ideas and start building competencies which others have already built. So it's very important to partner. Like banks are partnering microfinance companies, like banks partner fintech companies. So it's very important to partner. As a rating agency, we are looking at partnering a multitude of financial intermediaries to see what we can do together to build our businesses, both in rating business and non-rating businesses. So it's important to keep partnerships most centric, especially at a time when capital needs to be conserved and efforts need to be maximized over capital allocation at this point of time. The next point is about marketing to drive sales. That, like a rating agency that I represent, what we really bring to the table is a knowledge management industry. Our entire focus is to cover the 68 sectors we do. And in each of these sectors, we have data that dates back to 25, 30 years. How do you bring that whole load of data to the help of your customers in individual sectors? How do you improve the quality of marketing presentations you make? And it's not about hustling. It's about truly bringing the insights of the industry, of the sector, and also bringing, merging with it, the insights that your industry research teams and your economic research teams are making. What kind of leverage, at what price should the leverage come? Should it be more foreign borrowings or should it be more Indian borrowings? Does it make sense to raise more capital at a point like this? Is there an ability to even raise capital at a point like this? So lots and lots to work with each individual client. But the simple point is that build high quality content to work with your clients. Last point really is that at a lean period like this, it's not possible to be able to get specialists for everything. That through this period, the generalist will come back to power. The generalist manager who has the ability to lead people, who can truly play an all-rounder match as opposed to a spin bowler or as opposed to a rock-solid batsman. So what we are looking for is all-rounder at this stage, because the ability of the organization to spend across the board and bring multiple specialists will be somewhat limited. Sales management, how do you still manage sales, right? I mean, one of the important things to my mind is that we have to manage debtors very well at this period. And what does that mean? Companies that owe you money. Ultimately, as bankers or as a rating agency, we do want to monetize all our receivables because they have also been taken to P&L, and you can't afford a weaker view of debt receivables or collections. As they say in lending business, it's the ability and willingness that matters. So to my mind, those clients there where willingness is not in question need to be given as much flexibility to make those payments to you over a period of time. So some amount of flexibility from bank managements and even intermediaries and financial players like us is required, and also ability to restructure some of these receivables. It's going to be not about creating a perfect solution, but about adapting, about transforming, and about aligning to new requirements of the sales force. Not necessarily the past paradigms will be prevailing in the future, especially with that much intensity. So to my mind, collaboration between cross-functional groups will be key, and we will have to build as we go. So with those thoughts, I close my, back to you, Ravi.
Thanks, Ajay. We'll move on to our next speaker, Mr. Rupam Asthana.
So thank you, Ravi, and thank you, DP, for that introduction. Clearly, when we look at the market today, what we realize is that because of the change in the way consumers are thinking, in the way the small businesses are thinking, the need for different products and business lines is going to vary across. So I'll give you a simple example from a general insurance background. In today's scenario, what we believe is going to happen way forward is that the sale of new autos, cars, two-wheelers is going to reduce. And therefore, there may not be such a large demand for motor insurance, for instance. However, because of the fear and what we are seeing and hearing around us, and all the infection and hospitalization, etc., is happening, there could be a larger demand for health insurance, right? And therefore, the need for a business like, for example, in general insurance, is to refocus on a business line that we believe will recover quicker, right? What we are suffering from, I think, and this is true across industry segments, is actually a sharp drop in top line, right? And therefore, what we need to do at this point in time is actually start to focus our sales strategies on areas which will drive top line. And I think that is absolutely crucial. That drives cash, that leads to a better usage of your capital, and many other benefits that come across with it. So clearly, we have to refocus on business lines that will recover quicker. Here, what we also have to keep in mind is that some of the business lines are impacted not because of what we are doing or what the consumer is doing, but because of the way the supply chain is aligned. So I'll give you another example here. So we are in motor insurance. It's our largest line of business. Now, in motor insurance, we do motor insurance for Maruti, for Hyundai, for Mahindra and Mahindra, for Tata Motors. Now, when I have to look at all of these OEMs and say, okay, where do I really focus? One of the key factors that I have to keep in mind is saying, whose supply chain is today much better? Who will be able to produce more and put more out at the dealerships? And then that is what is going to move. So I might decide that I'm going to focus my attention on Maruti because their supply chain is probably better than Mahindra, whose supply chain is going to be impacted because of BS6. They need to get some components from Europe, which are not going to come. Right? So I think that is the kind of focus that we will have to bring in our sales strategy, where we will have to go down to the granular level, look at what the consumer is asking for today, look at what the small businesses are asking for today, what is there in supply that is going to happen, and therefore focus our sales strategy there. The second is about focusing on demand at the micro market level. So what do I mean by that? Now, when you look at the COVID situation today, what we find is that there are certain geographies where the lockdown is very restrictive. And obviously, businesses come to a standstill. On the other hand, there are certain markets where the lockdown has probably been lifted. And, outlets are opening up, people are out there in the market, they are starting to think about revival of their businesses, and they're starting to think about their needs for financial products. And therefore, clearly, when we are looking at where do we focus, we will clearly need to focus on those markets at the micro market level where the recovery is going to be quicker. So we will need to look at the disease recovery situation. We will need to look at the socio-economic situation. What do I mean by that? But by that, what I mean is that if there are certain pockets of the market which have a large concentration of salaried employees, they're probably better off today than the self-employed professionals and people who are selling and living, right? So there is the kind of granularity in our sales strategy that will need to come through. The last thing I want to talk about micro market is also the situation on the ground. So again, what we are seeing today is a lot of the outlets which we depend on to sell our financial products are suffering from liquidity. And there are clearly some pockets where you will have the on-ground situation where your intermediaries, the dealerships, or the other ecosystem partners who you depend on for your sales are going to be better off. And that is the differentiation one will have to make. So I am not going to spend my time and actually dedicate my resources to a partnership or to a source of business which is going to collapse tomorrow because of the fact that it is financially very weak. So these are some of the considerations that we need to keep in mind in terms of being granular in our approach to the micro markets to be able to get to that revival much quicker. And I think channel or sales force realignment is an automatic fallout of what I talked about earlier. And therefore, use that realignment to be able to get the best productivity out of our sales force. The other thing which Ajay also talked about was the fact that we will now need to see where we need to focus. So for example, in a lending business, like for example on credit cards, there may be a steep pressure on collections, right? And therefore there may be a need to adjust between our resources on sales and collections. Now, easier said than done. In our case, It could be between, sales and claims management, right? Now, is it easily done that you could move your sales guys and get them to handle claims, or vice versa? The answer clearly is no. And that is where, for example, in our case, we have used the time available during this lockdown is to train some of our sales employees on handling claims. Now, why do we do that? Because as the dealerships open and garages along with that, the focus for the owners of those dealerships is going to be on the garage business, because that is where their cash flow will revive much faster. Car sales is going to take a little more time. So training our sales employees on actually managing claims does a couple of things. One, it kind of reskills and upskills your employee base. The other, what it does is it helps us make sure that these guys stay on our rolls, that there are no layoffs, that we don't let them go. And I think this is very important in this point in time, is to generate that trust in your organization. This is the time. Now, if we were to lay off and fire a lot of people at this point in time, just imagine what's going to happen a few months down the road when the business starts to revive and you have to hire people back. So I think what we have to do is in all of this, we have to take into account the granular situation on the ground, the customer demand, and the employee situation, and actually merge these two into the re-strategizing that I'm talking about. Ravi, could you move to the next slide, please? Here we need to look at how the consumer is changing the way they are going to consume services and products, and we need to meet those demands through changed workflows, right? So if the consumer says, I don't want to come and meet you, I don't want your agent to come and see me, but I in that scenario, how do I sell? And that is where the digital assets come. And here there is just one word of caution. Just like we are talking about digital assets, or I'm talking about, and all of you are talking to the same to about your consumers. So just imagine your consumer who is bombarded with digital assets from all over, and just think about that confusion that's going to be there. And this is what I call the digital maze. So how do you guide your intermediaries, and how do you guide your customers through that digital maze? And that is where simplicity, clarity becomes very important. And this is something which I think all of us have, because just as we are pushing digital, everybody's pushing digital, right? And this is a word of caution to folks. Create your sales pitch, create your skilling pitch in a way that makes it simple and clear and easy. Use of technology. How can you use artificial intelligence? So for example, in an earlier scenario, what we were doing is we were doing pre-inspections for motor cars by sending surveyors. Now we are saying, just send us a video, and through artificial intelligence, we will, within seconds be able to say yes or no to you, right? So not only does it make life simpler and easier, but quicker and more efficient than what it was in the past. And Ajay talked about new collaboration possibilities, and I think this is something which we have to do. So put your ideas out there. Put your thoughts out there. Go and talk to those organizations in your ecosystem who were never talking to you earlier. All I can say is that people are going to be more open today than they were yesterday. And that is going to open more opportunities for you. So this is just my very basic thoughts on how the operating model could change. So Ravi, could we move on to the next slide? The second, Ajay also talked about, which is protecting your existing customer base. At this point in time, when new business kind of suffers and dips, it's your renewal business that becomes very important. And you need to move your marketing dollars. You need to move your best and most productive guys. You need to move your stars into the renewal management and retention of customers. So investing in stopping customer churn is absolutely paramount at this point in time. This is a set of customers that's dealt with you before. This is the customers that probably know your brand from before. And this is the customers that will probably trust you more than anybody else. So the effort required here is going to be much less than effort in getting new business, which is anyway very scarce and very expensive too. So focusing on retention and focusing on renewal is very important. The second thing, while a lot of the bankers sell directly, a lot of the companies like us actually sell through intermediaries. Our business is actually almost fully intermediated, right? And the fact remains that your partners will generate revenues only when they sell. So how are you empowering them to sell more now? Product, pricing, marketing, digital assets, support from your sales management, focus, training, upskill. These all components. It's a big, wide gamut of options and skills and products and services that are there which you'll need to work through. But empower your partners, empower your intermediaries, get them to sell more at this point in time. When we talk to our agents, they're saying, we don't want to be able for you to suffer, but we also want to make revenues, right? So by reducing price, if you reduce our mediation cost, we are okay with that, because by reduction in price, I can get more volume and therefore hold on to my revenues from a intermediation commission point of view, right? So I think these are all the calculations that we will need to do to make sure that collectively we create a win-win situation for everybody, right? So that's my brief talk. Over to you, Ravi.
But now our next speaker is Virat.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. What are currently banks focusing on? And I think there are three things that the banks are clearly focusing on at this stage. One, navigate the immediate situation. You see, what does that mean? It means safeguarding its employees and customers. Both of them have to survive to serve later. And ensure that the continuity of the basic services. Since the banking as a business is classified as an essential service, you really need to be providing the basic services. So even within these lockdowns, we had people going to the branches and servicing the customers. This is the immediate thing. What's in the short run? Means reorient. We all know that the revenue lines, there will be huge erosion there, but there is also going to be a significant amount of rise in the risk. Now, when that's the kind of situation that you foresee in the near future, what are the steps that you really need to take? You would see many people, tanking up their capital, making sure there is enough liquidity in the system, and looking for how and where we can control the cost. And that's where you're building your cost buffers. One set of organizations completely go out of the business. And that's where it's a foundation for planning for recovery. But the only thing which is now happening is that it has only accentuated the migration or adoption at all stakeholder levels, be it banks themselves, be it customers, or the regulators. And hence, we will have to look into each of these 9 elements that I'm talking about with a very different angle as to how the world will change after when we get back to the new normal in that sense. The first and the foremost, obviously everything starts with the product. Banks will have to develop products which are end-to-end digital with negligible need for being face-to-face or any contact. Means today, if you really look at 80% of our term deposits get booked on net banking and mobile banking. Through this 811 and video KYC combined, we have almost made account opening completely contactless. And for all these things, you will need to make use of analytics to identify the potential customers, customer preferences, preferred channel of communication and delivery. Then we come to the next element, which is the process. Banks will have to look at the end-to-end customer journeys and then attempt to digitize every step involved in this journey. So just to give you an example, today we do, when someone applies for a simple bank account, we try and process his credit score and make an offer of credit card or a personal loan on the fly. The next comes is pricing. You see, now in this digital era, customer will expect absolute transparency, no asterisk marks or any fine print to read about. But one thing that we have to keep in mind as we design the strategy here is that the product features and the buying experience would be as important as the price, if not more. I think this is going to be a very challenging task for the marketeers in that sense. Frequency, medium, language, timing of communication will all be the key variables to tackle for different segment of customers. I will have to do enough amount of segmentation of customers, and on each of these variables, play the game whereby what he prefers. But more importantly, every interaction by the customer would be scrutinized from data privacy and security monitoring. From there, I move to the next thing, what I call as a person. The quality of frontline salespeople would undergo a significant change because the product proposition and close the deal in non-face-to-face phases. The important thing here is that he has to close the deal while talking on the phone, talking on the chat, talking on the Zoom, and close the deal. So his ability and comfort of handling technology will become a key element of being a successful salesperson. On the other hand, salesperson who will have to what you call managing the RV part, where the relationship value is the key. And if he has to do that, okay, how when he calls the customer, he has a complete history and geography of the customer in front of him. What all products he has, what's the relationship value does he have, what were the past transactions he has done, what are the past complaints he has raised, what are the product inquiries he has made, and that could help him to really close the deal faster and make him more comfortable. Now, this is on the frontline side. If you look on the supervisor side, even the sales supervisors will have to adopt to a newer methods of monitoring and measuring. Because once you see, salesperson will no longer be required to prepare the DSR and to come back to the office and report to his bosses what he has done. Now, these are all things available on the app. He can just update it. Now, when we look at the way in which the productivity needs to be measured will change when you look from work from home or work from office. Productivity is expected to rise with the platform-driven apps and analytics tool. Means today the salesperson, he's given the leads that these are your potential warm customers whom you can go and contact. Means we have seen cases where I'm in one particular area and suddenly another lead comes of the same area. That guy is directed immediately on the fly to go and attend to that customer. The corrective measures means if I'm the supervisor, I'm looking at things, how my team is behaving and or performing, I can direct the corrective measures immediately. Moving on to the next thing in terms of the last three elements, profitability, platform, and partnership. Obviously, with the shrinking margins, the rise in productivity and cost effectiveness will drive the profitability. And that brings me to the last two elements, which is the platform and the partnership. Okay. Now, these are the new age digital era things which needs to be embedded into the complete sales and service processes of the organizations. Given the criticality of time to market, the partnering with the experts should be accepted and implemented. And ability of the core system to connect with through APIs would, would become imperative to have a technological edge in the market. Now, instant real-time call showing in means you see today you try and use your credit card or a debit card and you enter a wrong PIN, you will immediately get a call. Now that's where he believes, yeah, my bank is really worried about the security of my money, and that's where they called and said that did I really make the error on entry? Now, so these are the ways through which perhaps the physical and rather digital world will get intertwined, and that is more important. Means now today, even for a loan documentation, we know for sure that the mortgage documents in India are far, far away from being digitized. But today, can I have a thing whereby he can scan and send it to me, maintaining reasonable amount of confidentiality, or something that I can exchange via WhatsApp or any other digital channels? Now, these are the things which will happen more and more. And that's where I see in the sales process, the offline and the online convergence happening at a tremendous pace once the lockdown is over. The first and the foremost, target right micro markets and customer segments. Now, for a bank, now this things using analytics, using digital platforms, you see, there is a possibility to do that. The right example that I can give here is focusing on tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Now that something can happen, which can give you a incremental growth versus focusing on the metro cities alone. Target new digital adopters. Means, as I said, during the lockdown, we have seen quite a few customers who were reluctant to use the digital platforms earlier. They have used it, they have found it okay. Now, if they have done it, little bit of handholding, you can move them. Example, people were happy with issuing checks for their bill payments to the utility bills. We have seen that now they have paid online. Can we convert them and make sure that they continue doing that even after the lockdown is over? Leverage the digital to connect with customers and develop deeper relationship. The other one is adopt to innovative commercial models. And this is what I call it as a phygital model. Means online product launches at plus branches. Means I might have to do product launch online, or I may do digital roadshows, but bring him into the branch to complete the transaction. And that's where we coined it as a word called phygital. And I think that's more is likely to happen in near future in the Indian environment for some time now. And the other thing is explore partnership. There is no need for everything for you to manufacture. So that's from my side on this sales 2.0 in the post-COVID digital era. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajay, Rupam, and Virat for a very insightful one. I quickly pass it on to Dippy. We're running over time for a quick wrap.
I had promised you an excellent session. All the audience will agree this was outstanding, superlative, and many such words that we can use. Three different perspectives: corporate banking, Ajay; on the other hand, retail, Virat; and Rupam was a mix of both B2B to C, and that was part of the design. And I think it was great that all of you had similar yet very different. So thank you very much, Ajay, Rupam, Virat, and Ravi for coordinating this very well. And thank you very much to each of the members of the audience. We'll be having more such sessions, of course, different sectors and different topics. And I look forward to your involvement, support going forward as we build this first ever ecosystem for sales professionals in this part of the world. And thank you once again. Have a nice evening ahead of you.